Hello guys, welcome to Dr. Science. So today we are going to talk about the types of receptors which are present on your B cells. So this is an image which is taken from your pathology textbook. I will dig first I will talk with the basics and then we will come to this image. Okay. So first I will talk about adaptive immunity. So basically your adaptive immunity is mainly divided into two types. One is your humoral immunity and the other one is your cell mediated immunity. When we talk about cell mediated immunity, we mainly talk about T cells, and today we will talk about the humoral immunity, which is mainly mediated by the B cells. So humoral immunity is mediated by B cells. Okay, and first of all I would like to tell that B cells are the only cells which are capable of producing antibodies. Okay, so basically B cells in the presence of T helper cells which will produce some interleukins such as interleukin 4, interleukin 5 and interleukin 13 will get converted into a compound called as your plasma cells. Okay, so basically B cells which are produced in your bone marrow. So B cells are produced in the bone marrow, hence they are called as B cells. B cells are produced in bone marrow, and not only that, they are also matured. Maturation occurs in the bone marrow, hence they are called as your B cells. So B cells in the presence of T helper cells, they get converted into a elliptical shaped cell which have a cartwheel shaped nucleus in the periphery, and this is called as a plasma cell, and this plasma cell will produce a lot of antibodies. Okay, antibodies are nothing but your sticky glycoproteins like IgM, IgD, IgA, etc., etc. Okay, so basically what are the receptors present on the B cell? We have to know that. So suppose, let me draw a B cell here. So this is a B cell. Now this B cell is going to have certain types of antigen presenting receptors. What is meant by antigen presenting receptor? Suppose here is a bacteria, and this bacteria is having some proteins. We will name these proteins as M proteins, or this bacteria which is having M proteins is called as an antigen. Okay, now as you know from basic immunology that dendritic cells, these are your dendritic cells, will digest this antigen and they will present this antigen to the B cells. Okay, now what are the receptors? Okay, suppose this is a dendritic cell and this dendritic cell will go and present to this B cell. Now there should be certain receptors present on the B cell in order to accept this antigen, right? So what are the receptors which are present on the B cell? We have to see. So basically the B cell is very unique because B cell are having antibodies present on them. Okay, B cell are having antibodies present on them which are IgM and IgD. You can remember this mnemonic as B cell have done some MD program. Okay, so what are the antibodies present on the B cell? They are IgM and IgD. And not only that, they also contain special type of proteins, and these proteins are your immunoglobulin alpha. Okay, let me give this one. This is immunoglobulin alpha, and this is your immunoglobulin beta. These are the other proteins present on the B cell receptor. So immunoglobulin alpha is named as your, is also called as CD79, whereas immunoglobulin beta is also called as CD79B. Okay, so these are the B cell receptors which are present on the B cell. Now what are the other types of receptors which are present on the B cell? There is a receptor called as your complement receptor type 2, or which is also called as your CD21. Okay, now what is the function of this complement receptor type 2 or CD21? As the name suggests, when there is complement activation, I will discuss about complement system in my future video, but when there is a complement activation due to microbes, this complement system can go and activate the complement receptor type 2 or CD21. The other significance of this complement receptor type 2 or CD21 is that complement receptor type 2, I will draw the B cell again. So this is a B cell, and this B cell is now having the complement receptor type 2 or CD21. Now there is a virus called as your Epstein-Barr virus. Now this Epstein-Barr virus can go and infect the B cells. Okay, it will go and infect the B cells by binding to this complement receptor type 2 and CD21 receptor which is present on your B cells. Okay, and when the B cells are infected, obviously the antibodies in the body will get decreased. So that is the importance of your complement receptor protein type 2. Okay, now what is the other receptor which is present on your B cell? So I will take another color. Okay, let me take orange. Okay, so here this receptor is called as your CD40 receptor. So please remember this receptor. Why this receptor is important? Because I already told you that T helper cells, so the T helper cells have a ligand. This ligand is called as your CD40 ligand, and this CD40 ligand, eventually the T helper cells will go and bind with this receptor. Okay, let me clear this one. So basically the T helper cells which are containing CD40 ligand will go and bind with this CD40 receptor which is present on the B cell. Okay, this is CD40 receptor. So I already told you B cells can get converted into plasma cells, and ultimately the plasma cells will be producing a lot of antibodies, right? So the cell responsible here is your T helper cells. By what? By producing interleukin 4, interleukin 5 and interleukin 13, and not only that, by the reaction of your CD40 ligand and CD40 receptor, CD40 ligand and CD40 receptor activation. Okay, so that was about the B cell receptors. Now we will go and see this image which is given in your pathology textbook. So as you can see, there are mainly two types of antibodies present. So this is the cell membrane of your B cell, and this B cell is going to have two types of antibodies present on the B cell membrane. One is IgM, and here IgD can also be present. So as you can see here, the antigen is going to come the antigen of the bacteria is going to come and bind with this receptors which is present on your B cell receptor. And the other receptor are your immunoglobulin alpha and immunoglobulin beta. Immunoglobulin alpha is CD79A and immunoglobulin beta is your CD79B. Okay, which are the other proteins of your B cell receptor complex. Now as you can see here, there is also CD21 or aka complement receptor type 2, which can be infected by Epstein-Barr virus, and also it can be activated by your complement system. Okay, so what is this signal 1 and signal 2? When an antigen comes and binds, so as you can see here, the antigen is going to come and bind with the IgM or IgD receptors. Once it is going to bind with the receptor, it will produce a transduction signal here through CD79A and CD79B, and a signal 2 is also important for transduction, which is produced by your complement receptor type 2 or CD21. Now where is the CD41 given? CD41 is not given in this image, so sorry for that. So basically CD40 is also present on your B cell receptor. So that was about the types of receptor present on B cell. Thank you.